Hey guys, welcome back to the CNSL Season 7 on ArtosisCasts. Today we're going to be starting the round of 16's Group D, a very exciting group indeed. We have Dewalt, MisO, XiaoShuai, and HyuN in this group. Two Korean pro Zergs in MisO and HyuN, and then of course two of our non-Korean players, Dewalt, the best Protoss outside of Korea, and XiaoShuai. You know, I think you look at his results, you probably have to give him best Zerg outside of Korea. He's had some great results lately. Should be a really exciting group. And honestly, this one is probably the hardest to predict group I've ever seen, right? We might end up with a lot of Zerg versus Zerg matches, which are highly unpredictable. And then it's like, well, Dewalt is good enough to beat everyone here. Is he going to be able to deliver in a bunch of Protoss versus Zergs, though, which can be a notoriously fickle matchup? I really don't know. I feel like I don't even have a prediction. It would just be throwing darts at the wall. So I think we should just probably start this. Let's get into it. Game number one is going to be Dewalt versus MisO. And so here we go. We're going to have up at 12 o'clock MisO. And down here at the bottom right, we're going to have Dewalt. Okay. So Apocalypse, a 3-player map. We'll see how these guys want to end up playing. But yeah, I'm excited because this part, of course, is a best of one. It really feels like it could go either way. You know, MisO plays such an aggressive style. I've talked about this before a little bit, but like MisO has it in him to get ahead of anyone, but he throws really consistently. Oh, maybe a misclick here on the probe? Yeah, I think he misclicked it there. There's no reason you would sit at that location. Like nothing would be coming to you this early. Yeah, anyways, he's sending it up to here. That definitely was just a misclick. Anyways, what I was saying was MisO is just like, he gets ahead of people very often, like really top-end pros. He has a very good aggressive style, but doesn't pump the brakes. It's a hard thing to do. It's a really hard thing to do, right? Is if you're pure aggression, sometimes it's hard to decide like, oh, now I need to slow it down. I need to actually drone up or something like that. And that's something that I feel like he does not do that well. And if he can do that, I think he'll be an ASL regular, like all the time. I think that's the type of level that he has inside of him. But yeah, he kind of can't quite do it. He's in ASL sometimes, but definitely not all the time. Now Dewalt comes up and does do a little bit of harassment here. Third drone is actually going out. Dewalt did see this drone leave, but the Overlord is over his base, so he has to look at that and say, okay, where's that drone going? That has to be a third hatch. And in fact, there's no spawning pool as of yet, which is very bizarre. So Dewalt's Nexus first going to be completely safe. Look at that. MisO taking a third hatchery over at this kind of like fourth base area, right? Here's the natural. Here's where the normal third is, but does take that a little bit further away, maybe able to hide tech or something there. Dewalt trying to stall out that spawning pool a little bit more and does succeed for a few seconds. So look at how greedy this build is. Nexus first, gateway, gas. We'll see if he goes Forge next or he even tries to slip in that cybernetics core, you know, before any real defense. Kind of a crazy opener for both sides, how greedy they're both being, but that's cool. It's going to allow a much stronger mid game from both sides. We'll see what MisO wants to do with this because, for instance, he has no gas right now, so probably going to just have to do like a more Zergling-based defense against the incoming Zealots that Dewalt will be making. He does go Forge before any Cybernetics core, so you know, I think that's fine. You gotta be careful because this is finishing up, and Dewalt knows that there's another hatchery somewhere. And he can't keep track of Zerglings being produced out of these two hatches and out of this one. So anything could come out of this hatch. So I feel like the Forge is like a pretty good idea. You probably just need to get a cannon. I mean, MisO is so aggressive anyways. It's just something that you want to prepare for, right? Now the Cybernetics core is coming. Starting to mine that gas already for Sellout walking out. And 4 lings here for MisO as he continues to drone up very, very heavily. little bit of harass there, putting some damage onto that drone with the probe. The Forlings actually run past that Zealot. Okay, they're going to turn around. Forlings is just totally fine for dealing with the Zealot. You don't want to let it get like behind minerals or something, but you definitely can take it down with this. So MisO still droning really heavily, really just trying to get a sick economy at the moment. Still that probe harassing the drone a little bit in there. Now, the Zealot coming up, tries to get behind the minerals. A nice block. Ooh, 2 hits. Ooh, nice drone drill. And then Dewalt comes over and, oh, he actually ends up getting that damaged drone. So an alley-oop from the probe to the Zealot gets a worker kill. Very, very solid for this first Zealot. And he is getting some high-quality scouting done, right? Right now, this probe has walked most of the way home. There is a photon cannon up. Citadel on the way. No Stargate. No Stargate. So that's kind of interesting, right? Like, there is a world in which this might have been a lair, and Dewalt hasn't really checked that. But instead, he's going no Stargate, which is, like, if you play against Spire, you almost always will lose that position. But here, very fast Templar archives. Now, his probe is getting back in, and he's going to see a Hydralisk Den up here, and that's going to tell him all he needs to know. This is going to turn into a very aggressive game. Now, you know, there's a few different things. First off, look at this. Overlords, well, 2 of them flying away. One, it looks like it was maybe rallied down there or something, but he might even turn that one around because, or send it in a different direction because you kind of expect a Corsair pretty soon. So getting those kind of away will make it a little bit harder for Corsairs to get kills. 4 Zealots walking out. But, of course, we know there's no Corsairs, right? But with the Overlords flying away thinking there might be Corsairs, that makes a DT a very good defense. In fact, he has a Dark Templar being made and a High Templar. So it looks like probably he'll be getting stormed super fast here as well. Legs are already on the way. I love this build that we're actually seeing right now from Dewalt, right? It's kind of awesome. And he's playing against, like, this very drone heavy. Look, 34 drones right now is pretty insane. Lots of speedlings coming out. He does have Hydralisk upgrades on the way, right? He's getting that range upgrade. Already has speed. And in fact, the speedlings come out and surround those first Zealots. So this is actually a little bit rough for Dewalt. He pretty much knows what's happening. He is going to add some cannons. The DT going to have to do some heavy lifting here. Going to have to help to push everything back a little bit, I think. The Overlord is coming in, so that will be available, it looks like, as well. Psystorm, I think Psystorm will finish before any attack comes. But we do have a lot of Hydras starting to be pumped right now. Lair gets started here for MisO. I got to tell you, I really like MisO's build here. He's gotten so high on drones so quickly. Of course, Dewalt has a beautiful number of probes. He's got his 4 photon cannons. Psystorm about to finish. He's already on 4 gates. And when you're on this many gates, and look at this, he's making a lot of High Templars as well. You know, you get in this early and you don't have to make Corsairs, you can get a lot of Psystorm. So that's something that might be hard for MisO to deal with. Now, the Hydras come forward with those Zerglings. He throws that Storm down, a very important Storm indeed. It does deal a lot of damage to these Hydras, but they're actually starting to break through anyways. Maybe the Storm was not good enough, and he does not have a secondary one. The Hydras come in, pick off a High Templar here, and this is looking real bad for Dewalt suddenly. Oh, man, he's starting to lose a lot of probes here. But in the meantime, oh, my God, a DT slipped in. We did not hear what was going on over there. And neither did MisO, because he's lost. This had, I think I clicked on it before, and it had a few kills, like Zerglings or something. Right? I'm pretty sure it killed a couple Zerglings. So probably not 9 drones, but quite a few indeed. We can see that drop down. We know he was at 34 drones at least before. That's the last time I remember checking. Now, so the DT has done some great counter damage. There's still 40 probes here. Is he going to be able to hold on? He actually has another Storm ready. The Storm goes down. It does damage a lot of Hydras, but does not kill. Secondary Storm. Oh, my God. A huge Storm there from MisO. He's trying to go after this Forge that's getting that +1 armor. +1 attack has already been made. Archon on the way. Waiting for more energy. Waiting for more units to pop. He does have these 3 photon cannons. Does he need to add more? I think he might. We have a little counterattack of Zealots going in, by the way. This might do massive damage, but it doesn't matter if he can't hold on against this. And in fact, There's like this pylon way out there. Well, I guess that's kind of blocking things from coming out. And the Hydras are starting to power through the cannons. In the meantime, those Zealots are dealing massive amounts of damage over in his base. This is a crazy situation. It's literally Zealot, Probe, and High Templar without energy fighting against Hydras, and then drones just dying to Zealots left and right. And don't forget, because he has to defend those Zealots with the Hydras at home, that's giving Dewalt a better chance of holding on here. Throws down a couple more Psy Storms, doesn't work out. He's got a lot of gates, though, pumping out more Zealots to help. The probe count has fallen pretty dramatically. These 3 Zealots still dealing damage to MisO over here. Look at this. 1 in the natural getting a ton of drone kills right now. What a wild game 1 that we have in Group D. We need another storm for Dewalt. He's still about 15 seconds off of that. Drones running over to that 3rd base, and the Zealots following right behind. Photon cannon being made in the natural. At this point, he's mostly basing everything on a Zealot-based defense. Only has that 1 cannon coming up, right? So that's a little bit rough. We don't have an additional upgrade started. More High Templars coming. Pushing out onto the map with these Zealots is going to keep MisO a little bit on the defensive. His drone count is down at like 3 Hatch Hydra territory, and they're all over here. So that's a big, big issue. Like, he had a great economy before, but he is way down in drones from where he was at. So producing out of all of these hatcheries is absolutely impossible. You see all the larvae that are just sitting around. That's 9 larvae. That is 15 larvae just sitting there, right? Because he doesn't have a ton of money. He can buy a little bit right now, but does he need to buy units for defense? Does he need to buy drones to try to rebuild his economy? Whereas Dewalt, yeah, he lost a lot of probes as well. No doubt about that. But 34, definitely much more healthy here for these 2 bases. He's gotten out quite a few High Templars at this point, getting more Zealots in there as well. I think Dewalt is in a good position for this game. That's not to say that there's no chance for MisO to come back, because he has so many hatches. He can re-drone really quickly, right, and get up to a similar amount of workers, and it's spread on 3 bases. So his income already back on track after a big round of drones. And there's no units out pressuring right now. But because he's made all those drones instead of units, that may open up a timing here for Dewalt to go across the map with this really big army with a ton of Psy Storms and attack. Now, what it looks to me like Dewalt is doing here, see, he's getting range. Has he started the Dragoons? Oh, he starts an Archon. This tells me, I think, this probably means he's going to attack, okay? If you're making an Archon there, that's like, you don't really want Archons against Hydras, but in a situation like this, you just want to get out a little bit more tankiness, a little bit more damage, and that kind of makes sense to fit with his economy. So I think we'll see him go for an attack, and in fact, well, he's going for, this is like kind of an attack, kind of a harassment. Does get up here on top of the Hydras at the natural base. Drones drilling here to try to help out, but the Zealots do get on top of all of those units. So definitely some damage. A lot of Hydras coming up to help out. I think he should be able to hold on and clear these Zealots out. Doesn't really get drone damage, right? So like, I don't think he actually even killed a drone there. So this, I don't think was actually very good from Dewalt. And suddenly, just like that, I feel like we actually have MisO back in this. Right, that Zealot-only attack, if you're going to wait for Dragoons, I think you want those Zealots with your army. Right? Like, I think you want a row of Zealots that are basically tanking and helping to deal damage with your Dragoons so that you can, like, have the time to have the consistent damage of the Dragoons plus the Psy Storm damage do a good job. So I feel like that was a huge mistake. It went from Dewalt being in a position where I think he basically had it to maybe MisO has a shot here. Now, Dewalt is up in supply a fair amount, but MisO's drone count is really good. He's got a lot of hatches. We're going to see if he can kind of micro his way through some of these storms. You see him trying to dodge. There's a lot of Psy Storms, though. Dewalt getting ready to take a 3rd base. Oh, that's interesting. Maybe that's the way to do it. Maybe you don't need to go kill MisO. Maybe you can just make a Nexus and defend this high ground. That actually kind of makes a lot of sense. It's a weird game right now. Let's not forget this was 3 hatch before pool and a very greedy, Nexus first play from Dewalt. And then we had like those crazy attacks where they traded damage with each other. It's a strange position that we're in, but Dewalt is going to take that third base. Lurkers on the way now for MisO as well. Getting another macro hatchery, getting another base. Some good macro play here. I got to say, it's like a different style that MisO has shown us, but I do like where he's gotten himself to. That is a lot of Psystorm that Dewalt has ready. Not a lot of tanking for all this, so he's going to have to just kill everything with damage so quickly. Oh god, is he going to lose that Observer? No, the Observer does get pulled back, doesn't really get targeted down. Throwing those Psystorms down on the Hydras that come to engage with him. Going to pop that Overlord, so that's going to keep his Observer safe, at least against the single Lurker. Dewalt continuing to push forward. Does he have enough to actually win this game right here? How many more Psystorms? My god, just endless Psystorms coming out. And Dewalt is going to crush absolutely everything. Those Zealots turning out not to matter. And yeah, I tell you what, this was pretty damn well done from Dewalt. Kind of a crazy game here against MisO. But definitely an exciting one. It looks to me like Dewalt is just going to simply go to that winner's match. Of course, these first two games are best of ones. Everything else will be best of threes in here. Archon being made. He is targeting down some observers and whatnot, but I don't think that you have enough units. GG. Dewalt advances to the winner's match. So going into our second match here over in the bottom left, it is none other than HyuN. And in the bottom right, we have XiaoShuai. All right, Zerg versus Zerg. Well, Zerg versus Zerg is Zerg versus Zerg. This map doesn't have anything in particular that I'm thinking about that changes the matchup drastically. The only thing would be there is no ramp, right? It's just like a normal path. So if you make your Zergling concave, it's not quite as strong. It's a little bit easier to break through. But that's about it. Other than that, pretty standard stuff for the map. Excited to see what the openers will be because, you know, obviously that dictates a lot of how a Zerg versus Zerg is played. But while we wait to see that, we'll talk a little bit about these players. Of course, HyuN over here in very good shape right now. He's been playing a lot. Obviously, he was a pro before StarCraft 2, and then he went to StarCraft 2, had a really, really successful career in StarCraft 2. Lots of deep tournament finishes and some wins. And XiaoShuai, on the other hand, the Chinese Zerg player, this guy made it into the top 4 of ACS. That means he won an ACS tournament, which is the best that any foreigner has done in the modern era in a Korean tournament. So that was really, really amazing. He's been getting a lot of matches lately with the top Korean players, and you know, been doing a great job. Very exciting to watch him because at first it was Mihu from China where we're like, damn, this guy's really good, and then HyuN started to really pop off. Right, and we're like, wow, he's so good too. It's crazy. China's getting so good. And now XiaoShuai. It's honestly really exciting. I know I talk about this on the channel a fair amount, but I love seeing some of these other countries start to do really well, right? Like Dewalt is getting to the level where like maybe eventually he's going to be able to go through ACS or he's going to be able to get into ASL in a couple years or something. Well, I don't know, a couple years, however many it may be. You never know exactly how quickly people will do things, right? Because sometimes like you just suddenly level up amazingly. But yeah, seeing the Chinese scene also doing that, I just think it adds so much variety and flavor. And there's like a lot of really good Chinese tournaments going on right now. They have like a lot of depth in their lineup. There's a lot of like high S-rank players in China. So just a really, for me, an exciting time to be a StarCraft fan. And, you know, I've always been a fan of more than just the Korean scene. I know obviously the top Korean players are the best without any doubt, but like you got to kind of support the up and coming players as well, or it's not fun, right? Like I think that's an issue some places, right? Like if you look at Korean StarCraft 2, yeah, the Korean players are overall the best, but there's like no one coming up. So it's kind of like, right? Like you want to see these other places and people challenging. And so I think that's fantastic. So anyways, let's take a look at what builds we have going on. Quick layer here, as well as that hatchery, not too much slower than what XiaoShuai is going for, setting up his own Zerglings here. And XiaoShuai is up a drone, right? Because it was like hatch first versus pool into hatch. Now, he's going to have to make a lot of Zerglings. You have to make a lot of Zerglings here. He is going to have a slight larva advantage As you can see, like he does have that slight drone advantage because of the build order they chose. So looking at this, like technically we should have XiaoShuai advantaged in this game. Like it does look like a better game for him right now. Ooh, good hits, but he's going for the drones. Let's see if he actually gets any. Hyun coming in, going to try to micro heavily. He doesn't get a drone. That's a big moment for XiaoShuai. So now 4 Lings have died, okay? 4 Lings have died, and he didn't get a drone, and no Lings have died. So basically, he didn't really kill anything for XiaoShuai. Now, XiaoShuai starts off the Spire, and that brings him down to 12 drones from 13. In the meantime, over here, a Sunken was made, and he made a Spire, but he also droned up a bunch. So there's not that many Lings for HyuN, right? He's got 4 Zerglings total and a Sunken. Now, he is going to make some more Lings, but XiaoShuai has so many more Lings. There was, if he had gone nothing but Lings, he may have been able to actually attack over and break. That is a possibility. But of course, you're not always sure what they're cooking up in their eggs or anything like that. And XiaoShuai is just going to drone up a little bit. But he is allowed to drone like this because HyuN did the same, and HyuN invested in a defensive structure. When you invest in a defensive structure, but your opponent doesn't make the units to attack into it, that's a problem in ZVZ. XiaoShuai is in the lead. XiaoShuai is absolutely winning this game right now. He has some speedlings going around, maybe going to try a counterattack past the Sunken. Looks like HyuN sees that and pulls his Lings back. So I don't think that's going to really occur. Very good defense. But yeah, this looks very good for XiaoShuai. He's got his gas mining. The Spire is now done. HyuN's gas is mining as well, and his Spire is finished up in just a second. So he should be able to have his mutas out in time to actually block this. And in fact, he has a lot of gas bank, but not that many minerals. So 4 mutas being made against the 5 of XiaoShuai. XiaoShuai is going to have them out just slightly faster. This is the closest Overlord. Just kind of like zooming out for a moment to show you guys where the Overlords are, because sometimes those are early targets. XiaoShuai, HyuN, right? So I don't think either side is actually going to get an Overlord kill, but we might get this one. This is the only one that I'm kind of thinking could be killed. We'll see if HyuN comes up immediately with his Mutalisk to try to counter, right? So here's 3. There's the 4th. HyuN with 4 as well. So if he can go in and get the first hit, then he can get the advantage, but the 5th comes down, right? So it's this crazy knife's edge that you're on. Now the 5 are there, but he gets the Overlord kill. So XiaoShuai increases his lead, and I don't believe you can dive on this Overlord as HyuN. I think you have to sit back and just take your losses there and fight back in another way. Now, a lot of Scourge being made from HyuN. He might try to rely on his micromanagement and just flying with the mutas, clone the Scourge off onto XiaoShuai's mutas, and see if he can win that way. That kind of looks like what the play is. 2 Overlords on the way of both sides. We'll see another Mutalisk for HyuN. In fact, a couple more. XiaoShuai has the Mutalisk advantage. He has the drone advantage. He has the Zergling advantage. Everything is in his favor at the moment. What a tough game for HyuN. He's got to have some sort of tactic at least where he can come back to win, right? That's what we're kind of waiting to see, is what he's going to set up, because he made those Scourge, so it's like, okay, is he going to go for that? He's got 8 mutas, 2 more on the way, so he's going to have 10, and he has a decent amount of Scourge. Let's try to count this. So over here we have 11 already, plus the same amount of Scourge as what HyuN's about to have, I believe, or maybe 2 less. But definitely advantage for XiaoShuai. He comes up. He's going to go after the Overlord. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. The Scourge flying up. How many Scourge will actually end up connecting? So right now we have 10 mutas left over and way more than what HyuN has. XiaoShuai is smashing. This was well played. Like, he had the advantage and he just completely kept it the entire time. I think the key moment to this game, because it looks like XiaoShuai is about to win, honestly, is 5 against 8, and he has Scourge coming up and he's killing drones. Yeah, XiaoShuai wins this game. So the really important moment was blocking the 4 Lings that tried to run into snipe drones over here, and then droning afterwards as opposed to massing Lings. I think a lot of players would have massed Lings, so the Sunken Colony plus drones from HyuN was actually a very smart play. I think But XiaoShuai outthought him there, and he went into his own drones, realizing that he was completely fine after killing 4 Lings. So overall, like, I think that's where XiaoShuai really won this game. And HyuN, looking at this position, he has to know he's dead. Like, the best he can do here is mass Scourge. And I don't, like, he's making one more muta. You watch, he'll make Scourge after that, I think. Just like pure Scourge. Because his drone count is super, super low. XiaoShuai getting way more at the moment. And XiaoShuai may even come over and attack. Oh, HyuN's actually supply block. That's brutal, man. Oof. Just less mutas right now. The Scourge coming up as well. And even the Lings coming up to fight also. It looks like the sunken Lings of HyuN here will be able to hold on. XiaoShuai continuing to move forward. And, yeah. It looks like HyuN is doing like an okay job with the micro, but he is down like 2 mutas, and he's got way less health on his mutas. So definitely not long for this world. And that means that XiaoShuai should be advancing to play against Dewalt? Oh my god, are we having the Chinese player and the Russian player play against each other in the winner's match? Yes, we are. GG. Thanks for watching.